Hey, what's going on? I've had the Google Pixel 6a now for a couple days, and I wanted to do a quick initial impressions video. So, without further ado, let's jump in. Okay, so let's talk about the screen first. It's flat, which I much prefer these days, and it's a 1080p display, right? But honestly, I find no issues with it as it's plenty sharp for a normal user. If you zoom in and out, you'll see that text is still very, very sharp. So next, let's talk about design. Now, I went with the Sage colorway, and I love it because it's so polarizing, from most smartphones out there. Now, this particular color combination hasn't really been done before, at least I haven't seen it before. So I appreciate Google for stepping out of the box and starting with the Pixel 6 design and establishing a new design language in a sea of boring smartphones. So I personally love the camera and how they approach the aesthetic of the entire back side of the phone, especially the camera bar. Now, speaking of the back, let's talk about that plastic back. So this year they opted for the plastic versus the glass on the Pixel 6. So yeah, I mean, if you physically tap on the back, yeah, it sounds like plastic. But if you're coming from a Pixel 6 like I did, which I eventually sold, this looks like glass and it doesn't make a difference as I thought it would. It's still a beautiful phone regardless of the materials used. And also, because of plastic, the weight of the phone in the hand doesn't feel as, imbalanced and top heavy as the Pixel 6 did. Now, something that I wanted to mention is the haptics. The vibrations, especially while typing, are very timely and very responsive. So kudos for a quality vibration motor. All right, let's talk about performance. I was really observant with just how, apps would run, opening and closing, switching between apps. I will say that 75, 80% of the time while navigating the interface, it's quick, it's snappy, and it works as smoothly as, let's say, an iPhone 13 would in comparison. But there is a but. That is to be expected because of a mid-range chipset like this. I do experience minor jitters and slight lag once in a while, and it doesn't help so much if you're somebody coming from, a smooth experience like a Samsung with their 120 hertz variable refresh rate. But at 60 hertz and at this price point, it's a fair trade. And look, the iPhone 12 and 13 are 60 hertz panels as well, and those have much higher price tags, so just keep that in mind. All right, onto battery life. Now, it's good, just not great. So I work from home, so this is a non-issue for me as I can leave it on a charger all day. And speaking of, there isn't wireless charging on here, so that's something to keep in mind. For me, I personally prefer wireless charging. I like just simply putting the phone on a charging dock or a station and leaving it be while I do my thing. Onto software. Now, no surprises here. You're getting arguably the best stock experience. The iPhone of the Android world. There's no fluff, no bloat, and no overly complicated options and unnecessary customizations. Voice dictation and transcription are freakishly accurate. And that's just Google being Google. They have amazing AI. The fact that you can speak as you normally would with your normal cadence, and while it picks up periods, commas, exclamation points, it feels like magic. Onto cameras. So for a mid-range device, considering everything I've mentioned so far, cameras, they still punch above its class. All right, it outperforms the latest iPhones and Galaxies, even though the main lens is technically from last year's Pixel 5. It's still the best picture taker around, and I prefer it. I mean, I know it goes a little crazy with HDR sometimes, but I kind of like that look. I'm a father, so I do take pictures of moving objects all the time. And I definitely love how it takes pictures, even if your kids are running around. Now, when it comes to video, it's still kind of the same video as, previous Pixels, Pixel 5s and 4s and 3s and whatnot. In adequate lighting, you're going to be good. It's perfectly fine. But in challenging lighting, you're going to get that grain along the edges. You're going to notice that for sure. But I'll jump more into that in my full review. Oh yeah, before I forget, I did notice that Google included the Magic Eraser tool, which allows you to get rid of objects in the background or delete a photo bomber from a selfie. But what's missing is the two motion blur tools found on the Pixel 6 and 6 Pro. One of them was the Action Pan and the other one was long exposure. So between those three tools I mentioned, though, I find the Magic Eraser tool to be probably the most useful. I didn't really use much of the other blur tools much when I had the Pixel 6. So there you go. So another hot topic is the fingerprint scanner. And I have to say, it's so much more improved from when the Pixel 6 came out. It works about 95% of the time, even with different fingerprints. The time it takes, though, from the fingerprint to scan and getting into the home screen does have a slight pause. It's just a split-second pause. And for me, it's not a huge deal, but it just takes some getting used to. So just keep that in mind. All right, that's it for now. Those have been my first impressions on the Google Pixel 6a. Stay tuned for the full review coming up in a few weeks. If you liked the video, give me a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.